Deborah, let's talk a minute about why some examples of how managing relationships have helped you as a head of schools. As you've really over a decade have had a tight control over the school because you didn't have a lot of talented people under you.
There wasn't a need. I had talented people, but they were all in the classroom.
Right. But you also have a lot more bench strength in the classrooms.
Yes.
A lot more. So for you to be effective, what are some examples you've seen of teachers who have managed their relationship with you so that you feel confident as a leader?
Oh, I have several. And they've braved the Deborah's Favorite brand.
Right.
That they because they realized that this was going to be mutually beneficial to me, so I could better assist them, and then to them, so they could take it in the classroom, and they will come up and advocate for a change in the schedule, because what their children need is a different way to go outside after some long periods of intense work. They've advocated for special materials. They've advocated for more training. When they do that, my confidence in them grows leaps and bounds, because here is someone who is letting me see that they know what they're doing, that their concerns, they have the right view, they have the right speech, they take the right actions. If no one does come to me, you're just a blank wall, and I can't really see much being written on it. Kristen, I remember when you first came, and I know Lauren had a very, very unique way of getting you acclimated.
Yes.
And can you describe that very quickly?
She sort of allowed her sort of strength and her abilities in the classroom sort of allowed me to, I almost want to say like shadow her and see, how she handled the parents, how she handled being in the room, how she handled collaboration, and then sort of being slowly introduced into, I'm going to, she was always, I'm going to go talk to Deborah, I'm going to go talk to Paula, and then it was like, why don't you go, or why don't we go? And then it was a lot of lunches, and it was a lot of conversations, but when the time came for her to get out of the classroom, I felt prepared in taking on that role. It didn't seem overwhelming. It didn't seem like I'd been thrown in, to something I couldn't handle. I felt really confident in the fact that I could take over in that regard. And I feel like I think she sort of understood how I was and let me get my feet wet and get into the classroom before I started kind of taking things out and getting the broader and broader scope of the school. And that was really helpful.
I think she did an excellent job, by the way. But here's the one thing that didn't happen. She didn't manage me.
Yeah.
So that whole year, I'm thinking, well, that sure is a cute little girl over there, but I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah.
I did not remember. I did not know you at all.
Yeah,
we did not
remember.
Speak for almost a year.
Yeah, it was probably.
And then what happened is you started, you helped with some social events that were happening, Suzuki and Bloom, and we had some, I think we had
baby
some
showers
that were really
parties,
important. And all of a sudden, Kristen appears on the scene, very organized and managing everything just like this. And that's the first time I understood who Kristen was. So that's a real important example for me of how Lauren, the one thing she didn't do when she did all of this so well, is to tell me what she was doing and why she was doing it, and maybe even keep me updated with, look what Kristen did. This is what I asked her to do. She took it on herself, and this was the result. So I have to tell you, I had because I didn't know you, I really was thinking to myself, she may not make it.
Yeah, and I was so focused on getting used to this new sort of teaching, this new environment with collaboration, that I didn't stop and step back and take time to think about anything until these other things started popping up. It was like, with I think Lauren and Sarah's encouragement was, why don't you try this? Why don't you see how it goes?
Did you see how surprised I was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really a bit shocked that Kristen was that capable. Because she's sort of been under wraps this whole time. So that's a good example, I think, of managing the relationship.
And I think we get hung up on the word managing. If I told you that managing relationships is building relationships, would it broaden your viewpoint of it and not seem so manipulative or negative?
Yeah, it seems just more accessible, not as
manipulative.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
think of a
Very.
puppeteer with the strings,
Yeah.
you know, doing
Yeah.
this.
Well,
That
managing
bothers me.
relationships is really about building relationships. When you build relationships, you build trust. You're in level 1, where parents walk in the door, they don't have a lot of trust, do they? They're on a new journey.
They're scared to death.
Yes, I think building relationships is a very effective term for level 1. Most of our children this year have been in an environment with a nanny or in an environment at home with their mom and themselves for quite some time before they were able to be coming to Suzuki, so they don't have very many expectations of what their child should be achieving, doing developmentally. So I think if the relationships were not built in the appropriate manner with these parents, we would not have any doors open to speak with the parents about your child might be developmentally behind on a certain issue because she's not sitting up when this child that's a week older than her is sitting up, certain things like that. So I think that that's going to be really important for us over
Okay.
time this year, and it's going to be a really great tool for us to have all the doors open to communicate everything about their children that we need to them.
May I give you a tip on managing the relationship with a parent based on what you just said?
Sure.
They're not developmentally slow. What parents have to understand is every child is so different.
Different.
And it's all built already. The minute they were conceived, it's all in their DNA. And these things will unfold in their own time.
Yeah.
And to compare is pointless. And it's only going to make you crazy.
And I was gonna say with level 1 and level 2, you know, they are that first foot in the door generally for our students. So, I mean, what they do by the time they're in pre-primary and primary and kindergarten, they've really helped sort of solidify that relationship with the parents. That does generally make it a little bit easier on the rest of us because, you know, the teachers in
seeds
level
you
1 and
plant
level 2
Grow into those
build
trees.
that trust, and then they almost start off with a baseline at least when they come to a new classroom, even if it's not as high as it was with certain teachers, certain classrooms. But it's really helpful, and we get to benefit from their hard work.
And so managing the relationship is educating,
Yes.
informing, giving the information.
Also, I wanted to say, in managing relationship, as kids are transitioned from one level to another, because we really struggle because the parents want to say what happened prior to coming to our room. So it's really important because they'll go back to the previous class instead
Where
of
the
trying to
trust is.
build that
the
relationship.
trust
So
is,
it's
right.
really, it's really important to the, especially the new parents, you know, that, like you say, that have nannies because they don't understand. So it is important
To build the
to build a relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I would just say the one other area, because I do a lot of work in the recruiting area, is the teachers who manage the process of evaluating candidates, giving feedback on the candidates, good feedback on the candidates, and showing that they're properly supporting them. Through that process, they build credibility in their judgment, don't they? In their ability to pick good folks and good teachers for the classroom. So the more proactive they are in providing thoughtful information and making that person successful, the more likely we're going to support them in what they advocate for.
And that would go for their co-teachers, not just
Yeah.
candidate teachers, but to your point, you have a teacher who's struggling, encouraging her to reach out or
Or for
Team
getting
reaching out.
resources.
whatever.
Those who manage that, yeah, whatever. Okay, thank you.